What's up, everybody? Welcome to community call number 4. And today, of course, with us is the CEO of Supra, the man himself, Joshua Tobkin. Joshua, welcome to another community call, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here. These come and go so fast. I mean, I feel like I just had another call like just a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I'm glad we're doing this monthly. It's a way to keep in touch. And, there's never a dull day in crypto. There's so much going on, so much to do, and so much to build. That time really goes by fast. I mean, like this whole weekend, just working on things and making tons of progress. But yeah, time is flying by, and we're doing our best to make every day count.
Well, it's one thing to be in crypto where time flies and it's 24/7 nonstop. It's another thing to actually be the CEO of a crypto company, which is a whole different ballgame as well. I can imagine it must be wild. Josh, the big one right now that everyone's talking about, AutoFi, that is huge news that came out over the weekend. We obviously announced that automation is about to be fully live on public testnet. It's the first ever system level automation in crypto. So I'd love for you to do a screen share for us of the AI agents keynote deck, run through what the users and super community can expect.
Yeah, definitely. So John is actually in Dubai right now for Token 24/9. I stayed back just to kind of work with the team. I'm going to share my screen now, but it says John's name on it because this is actually the presentation he's going to be giving in I think tomorrow. So I'll just go ahead and recap it as well for the community right now. Can you guys see my screen? I can't see anything.
We can indeed. No, we can see it. It's good.
All right, let's go. Okay, so let's talk about where we think the future of this industry is headed. It's undeniable that AI has actually gotten very, very good. It's probably considered AGI, in my opinion, passing the Turing test, and it's incredible, actually, especially if it maintains its memory about you. So I think this idea, notion where everyone is going to be expected to have a personal assistant, an AI personal assistant, basically Jarvis, right, is happening very quickly. It's going to become ubiquitous. I think everyone's going to have one of these, and I think a lot of folks will run their own private models locally, actually. That's a whole nother conversation. But there's a lot of great open source models that are pre-trained as well. So, but let's kind of, in the context of DeFi, let's kind of jump into what do we think the future looks like. So it's basically like a 24/7 Jarvis, like AI robot assistant, financial assistant, 24/7, looking around for everything, measuring everything on your behalf. The idea is that you can communicate with these things in natural language, and you try to scope out a strategy for it, and it can also plug into other existing known strategies, and you can tweak it. But basically, yeah, I think blockchains in the very near future are going to be predominantly automation as well as AI-driven transactions on behalf of people, right? So I think it's moving into an incredible new era, and also blockchain is it's a great time to come around and thank God it did before AI got this good, because we're going to have to really be focusing on which AI model am I talking to, how is it trained, do I know what I'm engaging with online, because we're about to move into an agent meets agent territory, right? And they'll be doing things like negotiations, etc. It's going to be very interesting. So how do agents work in general? When I say agents, I'm just saying like your AI bot, etc. They have to, first of all, have data. They have to understand like context, and they have to understand like what's next, and or rather like it has to have some sort of understanding of the existing history or data set in order to predict what might be next, right? So a lot of that is related to data. Then it has to process that data and think about it. And once it's kind of made an understanding of what to do, there'll be one more step where it'll probably ask you to run it by you first before you act on it, and you give permission to go ahead. And this is where we're moving towards. So when we say sensing, we're talking about like in a blockchain setting, an agent has to be able to see what's going on in multiple chains, right? Like different activities across multiple dexes, kind of pull in a lot of information from many different ecosystems. You're also going to want to see price movements and prices, real world data as well. So you're going to want to have access to Oracle data. You're going to want to get access to real world events. You're also going to want to have access to the blockchain history and state of multiple chains simultaneously, right? So that's kind of the sensing part. Now, the agent will furthermore do basically reasoning and thinking and training and basically thinking about, what your intention is. First of all, like understanding what you wanted, perceiving the kind of data sets of the world, Oracle data price feeds, as well as like on-chain index data, what's happening across different chains. Then it has to think about like, how do I help serve your objective and your intention? And then ultimately they have to act on it, right? Acting on it means they off-chain can monitor, but with the most efficient approach is going to be, they understand your intention and set in motion particular strategies on chain with automation. This will be always the fastest to execute. It'll always be faster than an automation task will be faster than an external party submitting a transaction to the network upon the same conditions being met. Now, the thing is, blockchains today are not really built to have, they're different components. You have layer one, they don't have the Oracle, they don't have the bridge, they don't have the automation, different systems, different networks. And when you have different networks like that, and you don't have a unified system, then the AI agent or the things you can do with AutoFi or automatic DeFi, maybe crafted and ran by these AI agents supervision, which is acting on your behalf. You start to have to imagine having to plug into a different network for each of these components. It gets messy really quickly. It's hard to reason if you don't have data on what's happening on multiple chains, right? So you need that information. This is why we acquired OpenBlocks. So OpenBlocks is indexing many chains in real time, right? And then you want to be able to act on that, put some automation actions on chain so that if those conditions are met, you have an automatic sequence of events. Because let's be honest, if there's like a cascading failure, right, in some other protocol, DEX or whatever chain, and you have exposure to it, right? Or like, I hate to use this, but that example of Ohm, right? That 95% drawdown or 9% in like an hour, that is wild, right? And imagine if you'd have to be online to capture that. If it was an offline agent observing it, it might also have to ask you, hey, can I take action here? And it happens so quickly, like, you might not see the alert or whatever. But if you had a policy, a strategy that's based on automation that said, hey, look, if there's, if you had some sort of exposure to that coin, and you said, hey, look, if there's a, major drawdown, like, let's just say more than 5% within an hour or within some parameter, and then scale it up, move my assets to stables, right? You could do that deterministically without delay if those conditions are met. So you can't do that on other blockchains. Now, it turns out to do the best experience for AI agents, and also just in general for humans as well, is going to be a vertically integrated stack. A single layer one with Oracle data, with cross-chain communication automation. Now, what's really cool about Oracle data is basically you can set up automations on all kinds of things. We offer like 500 data pairs. Right now, that's cryptocurrency, FX, foreign exchange, right? Equities, commodities. Very soon, we're going to be doing things like fear and greed index, right? Sentiment analysis, world events, news, the Pope passing away, right? Ending of a war, or like start of other trade wars, whatever it might be. You can get any information on chain, and if you can get on chain safely, rather, then you can have any conditional triggers, take into account many things. Maybe you say, hey, if the Japanese yen to US dollar moves a certain amount, and there's some sort of significant world event, and price of Bitcoin and another asset is here or there, and the volatility index is a certain way, do something, right? So you can't do this type of logic on centralized exchanges. This is not something that retail is able to do. You have to have a pretty sophisticated organization to do this, to run bots like that, to do it at the scale. But what we're doing is we're bringing these really powerful capabilities to end consumers, and to maximize that this kind of potential, you have to vertically integrate. We'll be talking more about that. So once again, sensing, thinking, acting. Sensing is through Oracle feeds, like verifiable cryptographically signed Oracle data that's being produced like sub-second, right? Constantly, like across 50 to 500 data pairs, and eventually we're going to be expanding to much more than that. And I'll kind of hint upon something we're working on very soon here. It has to do with oracles. So you're going to want to have live like price data, but you also want to have access to multi-chain historical data to train upon, to have awareness of. And you also want to have like live data stream to you in terms of on-chain activities across different chains, like not historical, but like real time as well. And to do that, you need to index it. To index it, you need something like OpenBlocks, right? And Supra brought that into the Supra family. And this is going to be a very important service. And I think for them, what they'll do is they'll just start to charge people access to, access the OpenBlocks data and query it, and many other things like this, So I think it's going to be pretty awesome because we're going to be moving. It's already starting. It's going to happen more this year, and it's definitely going to take off by next year, in my opinion. That folks will have, various forms of AI agents, and you're going to be able to tweak them and customize them to your needs. And sometimes, if you want to do things on chain, they're going to need to have access to certain information. And OpenBlocks, they can just plug into that seamlessly and kind of imagine like you're talking to your AI agent. It may not have your answer, and then it can plug into OpenBlocks, send its queries to get the information it needs, and respond back to you, and then also shape strategies along the way. So OpenBlocks is really interesting. So sensing is like get the information, get the data. Thinking is you need to reason about it. You need to think about it. You need to take all this information and kind of strategize around that, right? And part of that would be to communicate with you as the end consumer, the owner of the AI agent, trying to understand your intention. You get that clear, it goes back and forth with you until it gets clarity, and it kind of thinks together with you to create a strategy and think about like what is your long-term intent, like what is it you want out of this, and then ultimately you need to act upon it. Once you have an agreement, like okay, it understands what I'm trying to do. It has suggested, we have discussed other types of things we want to do, and now it's time to act. So it's very useful to have a fast blockchain for that. The blockchain with smart contracts, cross-chain communication, and of course the big one is automation, right? So automations that gets triggered across all these types of cryptocurrency data or real world data. It could be like it's raining in Hong Kong right now. Excuse me, sorry. It's raining in Hong Kong right now, and for whatever reason, maybe you need that weather data, right? There's as long as the data can be brought in through an Oracle system that is secure, you can basically create all kinds of strategies around that. You can bring your own data set to yourself. You can as well. That's fine if you have your own kind of trusted data source. But generally, Supra is going to bring all kinds of data on chain. This is really going to expand with what we call threshold AI oracles. More on that probably next month's call. There's going to be a paper coming out on that publicly very soon. But threshold AI oracles, the power of this is that for the existing Oracle, we're just pushing all this data. We're doing the protocol nonstop, just over and over again, every single second, right? And we're pushing all this data to blockchains and servicing like 60 chains right now, right? With threshold AI oracles, right? What's really interesting about that is it's more, we call it just-in-time Oracle service. So like they'll do your work and they'll do their process when it's relevant, instead of like always trying to, like imagine if I needed to know if it's, well, actually, I realize I'm kind of deviating here, and we're going to have a whole nother presentation about AI threshold Oracle. But let's just put it this way. There's going to be a lot of things you can do. And therefore, even if our traditional Oracle data isn't part of the existing data set, we're going to be able to get any types of data on chain pretty much. And from there, we have a very clever way to have that data, whatever the answer is, to plug into your automation to just decide what to do with that. And that might only be relevant for you, by the way, so it doesn't have to be for everyone. Okay, so a vertically integrated stack for AI agents. You want to have integrated intelligence through OpenBlocks, access to price feed data. You're going to have the infrastructure that has, smart contracts. I should add smart contracts there. Oracle price feeds, cross-chain communication, high throughput. It should be fast also. And then, system level automation, meaning I've gone through all this work, ingested this information, trained upon it, created a strategy, and I want to be the lowest latency thing I can do here would be to set up an automation to start the process of, maybe like protecting my assets or, aping into something or buying a special NFT if it hit a certain price, right? All kinds of things you might want to do. By the way, everything I say here, and should mention this at the beginning, that it's, not financial advice, et cetera, et cetera. We do our best to build great technology. Okay. But yeah, I'm very bullish about what this is going to do. Like it's very obvious to me that a vertically integrated stack is going to perform better, much better than a modular stack, especially for this use case. Instead of all these different networks that you have to stitch together to create a Frankenstein dApp that your AI agent's supposed to run on, it's going to be bumpy. So a vertically integrated stack is going to be smooth. It's going to be smooth and fast and secure. Okay, so agents act in lockstep with market movement. So things are happening in the movement, and agents know what's going on. Now, with automation built in, the strategies that the agents have put in place, they'll execute immediately. There's no reasoning. There's no thinking. It's just like, if those conditions that I've already done the work on to think about, this is a strategy I want to do, it'll just do it immediately. It's almost like on-chain bots, but on-chain bots this is the closest thing you can get to on-chain bots, basically. Smart contract platform, Oracle data access, as well as execution automation is pretty much like that. And basically, they say he beat the market to the punch because the truth is, if you're responding to market conditions as an off-chain bot, you have to still process it, get authority to take the action, then submit the transaction to the network. All right. That by the time you use your transaction lands, your pre-registered automation task would have executed it already. So it's a very premium execution space. But how does this work anyways, right? More or less, the block structure is going to be, we prioritize Oracle data, then you have all the user transactions, and you have automation that executes at the end of the block. Now, what's actually missing from this diagram, which we'll have to add a bit later, is there's going to be another automation task box here. What we'll do is at the very top of the block, we will execute the system pre-registered automation tasks, like users, retail, consumers, pre-registered automation tasks that you're checking for. So if it'll actually, it'll be Oracle data and then the pre-registered automation transactions. Oracle data first, so you have new information to act upon. Then we do the retail pre-registered automation tasks. Then just regular user transactions, and then at the very end, system. The Supra as a layer one entire system level automation tasks will be done. So we can do all kinds of things with that. That could be, Supra is going to be offering and bringing to market a decentralized algorithmic treasury. So in real time, we can not only collect some value into that treasury, but we can redistribute it on a every single block basis. At the very end of the block execution, Supra system level kind of tasks, whatever it might be, calibration, recalibration, etc., they're all executed then. But the key point that I'm trying to drive home is it'll be Oracle data, automation, like retail automation registered, then just regular user transactions, then system level. Part of the reason why that's also important is for MEV mitigation. We'll have to talk about that. We're writing about that as well. So we'll come back to that though. But yeah, the key point though is your pre-registered automation tasks in the same block, if your set conditions are met through either on-chain data or Oracle data, it'll execute immediately. Like up to, we check the stuff up to 3 times per second. So in theory, we can run and check these things and we're trying to do it more often, but every 300 milliseconds, and let's put it this way, it's very fast to check for these conditions. So yeah, moving forward, you all have heard of OpenBlocks, right? You'll be able to, your AI agent may still want to plug into OpenBlocks to see what's going on across multiple chains. It may want to use OpenBlocks data to train upon or make strategies against. Once you have made a strategy with your AI agent, you might ask the agent, hey agent, go to OpenBlocks and run this strategy against the last 100 days of historical data and see if we made money or if this worked, if this strategy do what I wanted to. And then also you might do, so that's backwards testing, but you could also say, okay, I got the strategy and let's use OpenBlocks to simulate in real time for the next 3 weeks, next 21 days. Here's a strategy. Let's see if it would work using real live data. Why would you do that? Because you want to make sure that whatever you deploy and pay gas for, that it actually works. So it's OpenBlocks going to be playing that kind of role, and we're also going to be getting all kinds of new information in there, KPIs, sentiment analysis, on-chain behaviors, many things. So they'll sense, these agents over time will sense by getting Oracle data, bridge data, OpenBlocks data. They'll think through, using just their existing training and such, and kind of interacting with you directly to understand it, and kind of go back up and forth. And then finally, once you have agreement on what you want, you can act upon it like immediately and put it to work. And part of that work will be creating automation tasks to submit to the network to help execute your intended automation and your intended desired outcome. Yeah. So native, fast, secure AI agent loop is it's coming really quickly. In the very beginning, it's going to look something like this probably. But this is like we have all talked about intents before. This is the actual intent. I was always a little bit skeptical about intents, the way that they were doing it in the last 2 years. But what we're describing here is actually how you actually do intents, with the emergence of AI. It'll be text-based, it'll be voice-based. You'll just be able to carry it around on your phone, and especially if it's your own AI agent in your own kind of secure environment, then you can give it private keys. You can actually give it private keys to sign for you and do things for you. So yeah, what we're moving towards is you set goals, not even commands, not exactly do this. It's like more like, this is what I'm trying to do. And then it'll just work with you. And then once you're ready, it'll help set it up for you, then put it in motion and monitor for you and give you updates on it in real time, right? Or periodically. So, we're thinking things that they can do, like things like auto hedge, meaning like, hey, look, if there's, the main thing is, imagine what we're going to be really focusing on. We'll be publishing the second Supra 2.0 white paper pretty soon here. And we're going to have a pretty big focus on something we call auto vaults. So remember, automation, so layer 1 smart contract platform, Oracle data, and automation is going to open up a new category we call AutoFi, auto DeFi, automatic DeFi, AutoFi. And within AutoFi, there's going to be these certain types of primitives or core basic things that people will do. And by the way, developers, as you come in, you're going to create your own AutoFi primitives. It's going to be really cool. But one of the main ones is a fundamental piece of this type of thing is an auto vault. Okay, an auto vault, right? Where you put your assets. It could be your own assets, right? And it could be like, hey, you want to put those assets to work to grow the assets, but also take proactive steps to protect the assets. So you might have, using auto vaults, using this primitive we're thinking to call auto hedge. If there's certain price movements, you say immediately take like 15% of my assets and convert it to stable coins. And then also another automation could be, upon the conditions being improved and the indicators improving, immediately buy back the same assets that had in that specific weighted kind of weight. So that's something that automation can help with, and it'll happen very quickly. I think this is a major game changer. Maximizing yield. And remember, this is going to be done not through command lines and typing out programming. It's going to be done by speaking and typing out what you're trying to do. And then you can build a sophisticated strategy. The AI, there's not going to be free, right? So AI agents say, yeah, this is a good strategy. It seems to work based on the historical tests and the last 21 days of simulation. Are you ready to deploy? By the way, it's going to cost you $500. Maybe it's a very sophisticated strategy that you're trying to run for a couple of months straight. It might cost you $500. I'm just saying. That revenue, though, just the good news is that's revenue for the network. And that revenue will be redistributed to node operators, to the dApp in which activity is happening from, and then to the treasury. And the treasury will be responsible to reinvest into the ecosystem. And we're going to be talking a lot about that more in the weeks ahead, because we're going to be entering something called, as I mentioned, the Algorithmic Treasury. So AI agents with Supra can do many things: simplify access to DeFi, maximize yield opportunities, find out opportunities across different chains, and move your value across different chains for based off of the performance of those particular dexes or the APR or the volume. In order to make all those decisions, you need data in real time, though. But if suppose we had the infrastructure there, you can kind of see where things are headed with this, right? It's pretty amazing. Automated governance. There's something called governance fatigue, where there's just too dense and too many voting things to rely on, and people just don't show up to vote because it's too over the head or whatever. Well, you can just have your AI agent kind of stay in the loop and give you the lowdown, the summary, and then you can just engage in a conversation. It's like, okay, yeah, you can start to understand what your preferences are. You can tell it the way you would vote, and you can just let it do it for you. So that's going to be happening too. So more or less, the magic happens. The real magic is really simple. Fast blockchain, cool. Everyone has that now. Smart contract platform. But not everyone has native oracles, and not everyone has native cross-chain communication, and almost no one has automation. And definitely no one has all three. No one has all four in a row. And this is, once again, if you're wondering, like, how do you do this? The only limitations in protocol design, in computer web 3 and just computer science here, the main considerations are, the fundamental considerations are, is there enough bandwidth and compute? Does your node, your computer, have enough ability to compute these tasks? And does it have enough internet connection to communicate with the network? And basically, if you have that, plus the way that we architect our system with tribes and clans, we can do a lot more. Supra as a system whole, is, in my humble opinion, is, pretty much guaranteed to have the most compute capacity of any blockchain. So we can do so many variety of different things. Certain algorithms require the tribe. They require 2/3 + 1 consensus ordering. We need 2/3 + 1 of the nodes in the network, more or less, right? And there's other approaches there too, like 51%, etc. But certain algorithms actually only require a single honest party to be present, right? Some of them require a small group of them to be present, and some of them need to run across the vast majority of the participants in the network. Long story short, Supra is designed for vertical integration in mind, and we started designing this before our knowledge of AI agents. This is before the ChatGPT moment, right? So we started this journey about 4.5 years ago, and but we just knew that this obviously was a good idea. But we're actually, in my humble opinion, so lucky. It's like we created our own luck, right? Like NVIDIA had focused on trying to make GPUs for games, and then they stumbled across GPUs that are basically powering all AI, right? And in our case, we were kind of making a blockchain for games, but you want to vertically integrate that. We were like, yeah, a high throughput, high performing blockchain with access to on-chain randomness, Oracle data, automation. It's going to be good for DeFi. It's also going to be good for GameFi. It's going to be good for every category. It's going to be high performing. Anyways, we didn't know about AI agents though. We couldn't have predicted that. It just didn't occur to us. But I do believe, especially with the acquisition of OpenBlocks, we're the best suited to capture and start to, over time, it'll take some time to do this. I mean, the way we're doing, people have talked about, was that DeFi AI, DAI, DeFi or whatever it's called. They're missing it, man. You need OpenBlocks, you need automation, you need oracles, you need smart contracts. Single platform for the best experience. And this is why, like, you can just ask Grok, ask ChatGPT, ask Claude, ask DeepSeek. Feed the kind of overview of this conversation, or the I posted an article. Actually, this presentation is based off that article that we put together about Supra being the ideal infrastructure for AI agents. Feed it the content and then ask it is there a better infrastructure for this? And last time I checked, which was like a week or two ago, they said no. So they said this is the best infrastructure for it. So anyways, unified stack, no external integrations, more scalable, build once, run forever. I love that. Yeah. So Supra is, we think, going to be the key operating system for AI finance and for AutoFi. And it's going to be very compelling. We're entering an awesome era, all of us, in terms of technology. And we've all talked about that, like technology charter of human progress. It was like, it's like basically a flat line, and then you have the Industrial Revolution, then you kind of go from there, and then we always see it go parabolic, and we're right there. Well, we just entered that first step of the actual parabolic step, in my humble opinion. I think the next 10 years are going to be the most exciting time to be alive if you're into technology. We're going to see incredible advancements in many things, many things, every category, mostly through the incredible power of these AI models, right? But also, this is going to stimulate a lot of on-chain activity, where also blockchain technologies are going mainstream, in my opinion. It's like, AI agents are going to prefer cryptocurrency to do their transactions and to do things on-chain. How else are you going to trust each other? You're going to wait for a bank wire to come in, right? So, yeah, no, it's going to be, in my personal belief, is this is the most exciting time, probably to be alive ever in the history of humankind, because it's not so advanced yet that we miss all the opportunities, right? Like in the Star Trek world, no one has to work. There's universal basic income, and like for us, it's still challenging, but we it's clear that things are about to go really, 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 into an interesting kind of direction with the advances of technology, robots, et cetera, both in the physical world as well as on chain. Yeah. So anyways, with that said, there's more to cover here. This is the general presentation. Automation, AutoFi. Basically, right now we're just like in the middle of waiting for a couple more node operators to complete their upgrade, and we should be prime time. We probably won't announce it till tomorrow, but yeah, like if you want to scan this QR code, sign up for the when you're ready to go jump in and try it out and experience. I guess I should let you know that registering tasks right now on the testnet, and once you set an automation, it's going to take approximately, it might take an entire epoch. So that might be up to 2 hours before the automation kicks in. We're going to get that down to like 10 to 20 minutes. So you do a registration, you still have to wait 10 or 20 minutes for it to kick in and be registered across the entire network or across the world. But at that stage, we'll be checking it up to 3 times per second, right? 300 milliseconds or so. So yeah, no, it's going to be pretty wild. Version 1 of all the stuff, remember, our main goal is to bring it to market. It's going to get a lot more sophisticated. We're already designing version 2, right? And there's a lot more, and we're going to see some great research coming out of Supra here. Possibly two major white papers soon. I'm not going to give you guys dates anymore, but you guys, I can just say soon. It's going to be great. Yeah, so yeah, join us. If you guys are interested in this stuff, like, give us early feedback. We want to get the feedback. We have the technical edge. There's a technical moat, right? This is very difficult to do. So it's not like others are going to be able to copy us and do it the way that we have done it and designed it, because we've been looking into this problem for a long time. We've been engineering this for like a year and been researching it for much longer than that. We think the way that we structured this whole thing, it's just that one thing, the magic happens when you have a smart contract platform with Oracle data, with automation, and also cross-chain communication is very interesting as well. So major updates. Let me stop the screen here, James. Let's jump back into your questions.
Yeah, man. Wow. I mean, that is a lot of alpha, and there's so much going on there. Threshold, AI oracles, auto hedge, auto vaults. I mean, it's truly game-changing stuff. Just to the users on X who are watching, if you have a question, then just respond to the stream. We did have one that came through about a patent, and I know, Josh, you actually covered this 3 calls ago. We do have a Supra Foundation set up in Switzerland, but if you want to touch on that question from Mo about patenting this groundbreaking technology. So
no, not this one. This one is, we're not. This is just going to be out there, and it's going to be completely open source. And the thing is, we're going to be the first to implement it. The other patents in the past, when we were a small, vulnerable underdog, we still are. We're still the underdog. And by the way, the underdog stories are the most interesting. But I mean, really, our competitors have a lot more assets than us, right? But we have damn good ideas, and we have the technical moat. And we looked at the world much differently than them. It's going to be much harder for them to change and adapt what they're doing. In the past, we were very worried because we were like, wow, like, these are incredible ideas that we worked hard on, but we're the underdogs. We had to, we felt like compelled. And we were also seeing like VMware, IBM, and others. Who else was it? Microsoft, I believe. They had patents related to blockchain. And we're like, oh, wow, we got to protect ourselves. For this one, though, we feel like we're ahead of the curve finally, that we have mainnet, Oracle, cross-chain communication, automation now on a single platform. We feel we can just leave with this. We don't feel like we need the patent here. But the other components, like, yeah, we do have some of that. I see the red Supernaut. Yeah, definitely hint, guy, this is a little clue. Get some testnet tokens like now and tomorrow and the next day. Like, you're gonna want to load up because I think, it might be, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of things. It's gonna be fun to put a lot of automations in play, and yeah. So have fun with that, and just everyone, just remember that our first version of this is going to be relatively simple, right? And it's going to get more complex. We want you to try it out and tell us, hey, by the way, I was trying to do this, I wasn't able to do this. Can you show me how to do this? This will be incredibly important information for us. And then, yeah, we will probably, like, the more mature version of this, let's just call it 4 or 5 months this year, version 2. I think we can even scale it internally. We have the belief that we can scale it 10x more capacity from a design point of view. So, but in the end, we didn't want to do it all. We didn't want to make it completely perfect before we shipped it. We want to ship something that was good enough and get user feedback, engagement, let dApps start to build cool functionalities. We can show the world that you can do things on Supra you can't do elsewhere. That's where I've been saying that for a long time, but now we're about to like completely prove it, you know, and it's gonna be exciting because it's completely powerful. It's truly the what do they call it? The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. This is like a truly one of those situations. So yeah, yeah. I think there's a couple more questions, and yeah, happy to take some here as well.
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, just drop them into the X response to this live stream. Red Supernaut, we appreciate you, brother. He sent it to the wrong X post. Prime SB asking about PBO2. We are working on that as fast as possible, hoping to get it out by around May. But we are working on it to make sure that it's all up and running and all the mechanics are ready to go, especially for the Super DApp Showdown winners. And yeah, we'll keep taking your questions, guys. Just a question that I wanted to touch on. You mentioned in that deck, Josh, revenue for the network and the algorithmic treasury. Those are, again, groundbreaking ideas, especially the algorithmic treasury. With the technical breakthrough of AutoFi and what automation brings, Supra has created, in essence, an entirely new business model, right, for L1s. And you've made a bold claim that you think Supra could become the largest revenue generating L1 in crypto, thanks to this new model. So I'm curious as to when you foresee the business model starting to unfold. When do you foresee it starting to generate revenue for the Supra decentralized treasury? And is there an aim for those timelines?
Yes. Okay. So yeah. So once again, you know, this is my belief, my opinion, not financial advice. I know that some of you guys are just like, oh, he said, like, no, I didn't. You know what I mean? So that said, what I did say is, in my opinion, I do believe that things really kick off. This business model will have the most. Okay, in my opinion, could position Supra to be the highest revenue generating layer one. Yes, I said that. I believe that. And what I mean by that is basically through our strategies, we internalize MEV. All that value is being taken out of these other chains through MEV, toxic MEV. That's not necessarily being kept in the ecosystem. Through the algorithmic treasury, through automation, through MEV resistance, we can try our best to keep this in the system. And you know, the auction model is very powerful, meaning you decouple yourself from the price of each transaction. You're decoupling from gas fees. You're instead, as a business model, that's a really bad business model because high throughput blockchains are supposed to be cheap. It's a race to the bottom. But if you say, hey, look, execution of this particular transaction, it might be a high value transaction for whatever reason. I'm willing to pay a certain amount. I'm willing to pay a premium for that to make sure that I'm the first one to do it. That priority auction for automation execution is going to be a big one. But also, you know, this idea of, remember, consumers and consumers retail, you all go first. But at the end of the block, the super system can run certain transactions. Any opportunities are missed by the community, Supra system can kind of come in and clean up and sweep up and keep the system in order. Along the way, perhaps there's arbitrage value, right? Perhaps there's a liquidation that wasn't triggered that our system will just trigger it and make sure everything's solvent. But along the way, there's fee generating activity. And then what we'll do is redistribute that in real time. So every single block we run these at the system level, and the value that we collect, we distributed 50% to the treasury, 25% to the dApp where the opportunity came from, 25% to the node operators. We're taking away toxic MEV from node operators. It's not a good business model either, right? You're just gonna keep on giving retail bad execution. Like they're not getting what they expected. They're not going to keep on using you. So that's a dead end. MEV, toxic MEV is the dead end. So we try to remove that. But this good MEV, you know, they talk about arbitrage or liquidations and keeping the system solvent is, yeah, we're going to internalize that, right? So everything I'm saying here is premised on if Supra actually gets the kind of demand of Ethereum Solana, right, or much more. You know, I think we can go beyond that in the AI agent world. And yeah, more or less, if the economic engines get going and the dApps are deploying, there's interaction, like real authentic activity on the network, value transfers, etc., then yes, over time, the system is designed to be maximally two core objectives. One is maximally keep the system, everything stable. Make sure that spreads are tight, that there's no cascading failures. Along the way, there's arbitrage, there's liquidation, rewards, redistribute that value. The second kind of mandate of the system is actually to be a public good, right? So for the reinvest that 50%, provide liquidity to dApps, provide loans to under collateralized loans potentially to end consumers. Right now, crypto is all about over collateralized. What if we move into a place where you're able to build a on-chain reputation that's incredibly hard to fake? It'll take a long time, and then you can start to take out loans just on your reputation alone. That'd be pretty amazing. And yeah, there's a bunch of things more or less we can do. Okay, we could do buybacks. I know you'll love to hear that, guys. We can do this idea of burn. We're actually, imagine not burning. We're saying a freeze. So all that revenue that's coming in real time, maybe immediately there's like a 6 months to 1 year freezing period. So they're effectively burned for that 6 months to 1 year period. They're out of circulation. And then they can be thawed or brought back into the circulation and then reinvested in the ecosystem. It has the same effect as burning for that period. So we can have that. There's a lot more things that it can do. It can provide liquidity to dApps. Maybe there's a DEX and there's new pairs and there's new activity and it's starting to grow, and the system could algorithmically monitor for volatility, for volume, for APR, etc. And it could, it has this mandate to also grow. It's trying to grow itself and it provides stability for the network. So these activities, these lending or providing liquidity, right? These are also fee generating activities. And then those fees are redistributed to the dApp where it came from, to the treasury itself, and then to node operators. It's just all happening in real time, like up to 3 times per second. Imagine that, right? Small fees across, and movements and like automatic logic in real time. It's going to be really, it's frankly a really beautiful thing. And I think it's going to be a much more stable design than traditional DeFi because we kind of make sure that you don't have these systemic problems in the first place. Things got kind of balance out and smoothen out. Yeah, that's what we're moving towards. And yes, I do think this can be, I believe this is the largest business model possible in Web3.
Oh, a huge statement. The largest business model possible for Web3. I love that. So much to talk about. We only have about 17 minutes left. I'm going to come back to a couple of the user questions, Josh, if you're okay with that. I'd like to touch on, if you're right, I'd like to touch on Supernova because a lot of announcements coming out this week. Obviously, AutoFi coming to public testnet, but Supernova is a big one that Supra has been working on for quite some time now. The interoperability cross-chain communication protocol. Also, word on the street is it's coming to public testnet very soon. Could you give us a breakdown how Supernova works and what kind of interoperability challenges is Supernova aiming to solve?
Sure. Yeah, so Supernova is also a very powerful approach and an idea to cross-chain communication. It's bridgeless, no bridge, right? How do we do that? We have to recompute the consensus of the chains we interact with. We have to get the cryptographic state root or consensus and verify it. And we just have our layer 1 nodes do that work. Turns out getting that information from a proof of stake chain to Supra is pretty straightforward because in proof of stake chains where you're staking, your validator has to stake, they have to make their public address known. So you know who are the active validators. And you just always have to check, have they hit a supermajority signature? Can I form a supermajority signature of enough validators to form a proof consensus, right? And that's it. And then it's it's a very simple but powerful concept. Also been in, we designed this, I think, in maybe early 23, maybe mid 23, and we couldn't focus on that because we had to do Moonshot Oracle, Moonshot Consensus, Dora Oracle, on-chain randomness, all these other things. But we were able to begin kind of development on that about a year ago. And now it's actually going to public testnet. It's actually technically there tomorrow, I believe. but we might not open it up to folks to use for maybe a week. But at that stage, yeah, you'll be able to move assets from, I mean, this would be testnet Ethereum to Supra. You'll be able to try it out and get the ball rolling there and understand that. And, a couple of things what you could do is check to see if Supra has like these like Ethereum ERC20 tokens in our data Oracle data, and then use automation to kind of trade these different combinations of things and just give it a try and to understand like what's possible. But yeah, SupraNova is a simple concept, but very powerful. This is the biggest testnet upgrade we've ever gone through. Node operators are like in the middle of it right now. And this is improvements to layer 1, improvements to cryptography, but also of course, automation in SupraNova. So this is great. And then from testnet to mainnet, if things go smooth sailing, we did so much testing in the last several months, and still there's more to do. But if by the time it goes to testnet and things go well, it could be just 1 month till we push to mainnet. Remember, testnet is basically mainnet. It's like the same thing but better. So yeah, it's the upgrade. It's the upgrade that's about to become the main thing. So we're excited about this. Yeah.
And I got an interesting question here, which I think is worth following on from what you've just said, is basically EVM testnet. Prime SB on X asks, when can we expect EVM on testnet?
Okay, so it'll be on DevNet. Actually, it's on DevNet already. DevNet is, it goes DevNet, testnet, mainnet, right? So we already have it on DevNet. We just haven't announced it, I guess. And what we'll do is we'll just get like five groups privately to Ethereum-based projects that have signed up with us. They're going to just work on the DevNet, play around, understand it more. We'll start to probably officially open it up for everyone, maybe in a couple of days, and maybe next week. I don't know. Like, chill out, guys. Like, I'm not going to give you a date because I know it's some people say it's like, oh, you're a second off. Like I got a tweet about that, So we're not going to do specific dates anymore, but it's close, man. It's close. What can I say? It's not like we don't want it. We would love it. We're excited about it, So yeah, I would say Ethereum smart contracts will be able to run on Supra's DevNet technically now already, but we'll make it available to you folks very soon, maybe next week. We'll make the announcement around that once we have like additional testing to say that, yeah, things look stable. But really, it's going to be automation. And then it's going to be SupraNova, cross-chain communication, and then it's going to be EVM, and in kind of that sequence. That's where you're going to see more and more of very soon.
All right, I'm going to keep going with the user questions here because there's a whole bunch of great ones coming through. I'm going to come back to the Red Supranaut, who asks, how do we monetize these automations? Which I think you did touch on, but I think it's worth maybe just reiterating. How do we monetize these automations? And by monetize, I mean, how will value flow to Supra and Supra Labs? There should be some revenue to be collected here in the form of Supra tokens, like an automation maintenance fee or automation registration fee. You did answer it high level, but more details would be appreciated.
Sure. So yeah, Supra is a single token model. We're even going to bring storage. We're not going to create another token model for that. We're, at least we basically, our point of view and philosophy is do not add another token unless it's absolutely necessary, right? So Supra will be the only thing. Now, Supra has so much capacity that things are cheap. But then that's, once again, transaction fees are not a good business model, right? So to kind of share a bit more, though, about this automation, what we're going to do is probably in this version 1 is we're going to charge a good amount in Supra token. So it might be like $1 to $3 worth of Supra per day, per task. Okay. So it's relative to your average transaction fee where it's like, you can do like 50 transactions for less than a penny. This is going to be like more of a fixed, because there's only so much capacity for automation. Regular transactions, sure, we can do so much capacity. For automation in this version 1, there's going to be limited capacity. And then also because we don't want to overwhelm the system, we're going to have to make it pretty expensive. The real business model, though, is version 2, is where we just say, first of all, we can scale the automation task by like 10x. We believe we can scale its capacity, like how many tasks can we check per second? We think we can 10x it in the next iteration from a design change point of view already. So we're already working on that. But the business model will be an auction. What I mean by that is folks will say, hey, look, okay, the example's like this. There's some position in some DeFi app maybe it's a huge position, $1 million position, and you think that it's going to get liquidated. It's not, you can't, it's not your responsibility if, meaning like someone wanted to make that bet for whatever reason, right? And they put that $1 million position in, and then maybe you're looking at the chart, you're like, oh, I don't think that, I think that position is going to go underwater and it's going to get liquidated. Now, you might want to be the first one to liquidate that position if and only if it's underwater. You can't liquidate it unless it's underwater, right? So, but you might want to be the first one because you're like, well, I see that it has a 1% fee associated, like basically a liquidation fee. 1% of 10 million is $10,000, right? So let's just say, just hypothetically, the red Supernaut says, I think it's going to get liquidated. I'm going to bid $100 to be the first in the priority auction, like be the first one to execute automation, right? But the actual rational thing would happen is James will say, well, I think it's going to get liquidated too. And if I'm the one that triggers it, the liquidation fee is 1% of $1 million is $10,000. I'm going to bid $2,000, right? And then I'll come in and be like, I also think with high confidence it's going to get liquidated. I'll bid $5,000, right? And then maybe Choco Sup. I'm just looking at the comments here. Maybe Choco Sup says, I believe it's definitely I'm gonna bid $8,000. And if that liquidation occurs, I'm just saying that's a very exaggerated example. But you can see like single high value on-chain activities could generate a lot of revenue in this auction. You're paying in Super token in that example up to $8,000. Now, if Choco Sup is right, and it is the one that has the first top priority, willing to pay the first, to always be the first to check, to execute mine thing first, meaning they're the ones that executes that particular opportunity. Yes, Choco might have spent $8,000, but made 10,000, right? So this is why the auction model is a good, profit maximizing. You decouple from transaction fees, you move towards what is it worth it to the end consumer. And end consumers, you'll bid each other, you'll just bid until it's not worth it anymore. It's the same thing that happens in, this actually powers 78%, I believe, of Google revenue. Google has an ad network. They use the auction model. So folks, advertisers will bid up as much as is worth it for them. As long as they keep on converting and they're making money and the conversion is working for them, they'll keep on bidding up and up and up to have more access to the attention of people. Like these ad units, these ad placements, there's only a certain amount of them. There's a certain amount of fixed inventory. So people will bid up for that inventory. Similarly, and remember, this is like 78% of Google's revenue today, even. It's their ad network that powers it all. Everything at Google is powered by Google, basically Google's ad network, as well as Google Cloud. Similarly, for Supra, automation task prioritization is a limited inventory. And going first is going to be the ones that have the access to these incredible opportunities, right? There's going to be things that we don't even think of that people are paying for whatever reason. Point is, we can decouple from transaction fees as a business model. In that exaggerated example I gave you, ChocoSup had actually paid $8,000 in Super token to have priority access for that. Super would take that $8,000 of that auction bid, redistribute 25% to the DApp. To the dApps. We'll have to figure out exactly some of the details here, but to the node operators and to the treasury. And this is just going to be way more. This is what I mean when James asked us earlier. Can you explain how could you say that you think Supra has the potential to generate the most revenue for any layer one? These are precisely the types of things I'm talking about. So of course, this is all premised on Supra getting adoption and activity, but as that grows, and it's already growing, and it'll grow, especially as folks do things in Supra you can't do elsewhere. That'll create more opportunities for economic growth. Let's put it that way. And we have a value capture, like capturing value. We have a value capture mechanism that is actually good for DeFi. Keeps spreads tight, prevents cascading failures, does immediate real-time revenue share. Doesn't need a. We're trying to get to a point. If we all build products together, and there's a lot of things, a lot of things being deployed, and new developers are doing things on Supra you can't do elsewhere. We think with this business model, as you know, it takes some time to fully get there with everything we're about to share in our Supra 2.0 next white paper that's coming out very soon. We think we might be able to get off of block rewards. So there's no block rewards or very little block rewards. And block rewards are adding to inflation, right? So we think we can slowly get off of them, replace it with revenue share, right? And we can just hold the block rewards. We have 12 years of block rewards, save them for a rainy day decades from now, you know? And in the meantime, we think it's kind of a race to get off of block rewards, because I think once we get off of block rewards and we have on-chain activity, you know, I think like this revenue model within 2 years could allow Supra to potentially move into somewhat of a semi-deflationary environment. So in a fixed supply, you know, arena with a deflationary environment, that's some pretty interesting dynamics that could happen. So, but yeah, it's all predicated on actually providing value, creating value, and creating demand, and people using the tools. But I think in 2 years, the predominant user is going to be an AI agent, and they're going to love Supra, in my opinion.
Well, one hopes that the AI agents are not sentient and don't have emotions, so they don't actually love, or they're completely agnostic to Supra. It's the users who are. I'm just being philosophical.
Touche.
Right. So I don't know if you want to answer this one, because the business development team with Vinny are working nonstop around the clock, and I'm not sure if this is something that you can touch on, but 0x Giverny asks, can you give us a quick update on MOUs and partnerships? That's something that is obviously always increasing. It's always changing and evolving. I'm not sure if you can, off the top of your head, give us a quick rundown.
Sure. So I would say that there's a couple of tiers of work going on. One is DeFi projects, existing relationships. We're preparing a lot of folks on, especially on the EVM side of things, right? Hey guys, we signed this MOU a year ago. We're about ready on DevNet first, testnet. Get ready, let's try it out. We have new things going to market, things you can't do elsewhere. We'd love for you to be first to try this. That type of conversation is moving forward. We have existing, so we have a liquidity bootstrapping program called Proof of Efficient Liquidity, POEL. That's going to be available pretty soon as well. That's the biz dev team is lining up. I think it's like 20 million in TVL to come into Supra. This is initial. There's more of that, but we're kind of capping it to that because proof of efficient liquidity protocol, it can scale with the more Supra token is valuable, the more we can bring in safely. It's like a crypto economic kind of game theory thing. So we think we can only handle safely 20 million right now. That's all lined up. I think there's more than like 50, more than that, like potentially lined up already, but we can only accept up to 20 million. That ideally is going to be things like wrapped Ether, wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped some other ERC20 tokens, as well as stablecoins, some denomination, but it'll be a nice start. So they're working on that as well. And then there are 3 institutions, whether that's a bank or payments providers that we're kind of working with. The process for that is they become node operators. They get to know us a little bit more. We basically, our pitch to them is, hey guys, we want to help you explore like Stripe competitors. Like these companies are not Stripe. Like stablecoin with automation, you can build a Stripe competitor for on-chain subscription plans, etc. We want to build a pilot with you very quickly. So that's where things will get more serious. But like step 1 is get them on as node operators. They have approached us about that as well. One is a big, popular Singapore-based bank. The other 2 are like USA-based, right? So yeah, those types of initiatives are moving forward. Just so you guys know, institutional cycles are much slower. It takes a long time. This idea of institutions will come. They'll come, but in my opinion, it just takes time. We're really early. They want to see us mature a bit more, but they're excited because they like our thesis. So they like our point of view here.
All right, that's a really comprehensive answer, considering there's always so much going on in the business development background and the engine room of business development. So we're at the hour. I do want to answer this just real quickly. I hope you don't mind, Josh, but Half Alive Supra says, what are your strategies with regards to marketing? So I'm just going to touch on that real quick. Obviously, I'm in the marketing team. I think it's worth the community knowing that my boss and the CMO of Supra is a former Razer Computers creative director. Of course, Razer Computers, the gaming computers and electronics company, that is the CMO of Supra. So he's been with us for over 2 years. And we're currently working on a very, very, very significant KOL strategy, which will mirror that of what happened at TGE. We are rolling that out very, very soon and shortly. We're currently in talks with a number of podcasts that we want to get Josh and John onto those podcasts. We're revamping our press strategy as well. And even this live stream, guys, the people in the background, people like Hoyt and Napoon, have scaled this. This used to be an X space, an audio X space. We're looking to scale all of our media. This is now scaled to a live video stream. So I just want to emphasize to those of you that ask those kind of questions, we are working as hard as we can to scale our marketing efforts and to do as much as we possibly can to get the word of Supra out there and to grow our mind share in the Web3 ecosystem. So I hope that that is helpful for you, Half Alive. Pretty much covers most of the questions. I'm not sure if you want to answer this one, Josh. We are over time, but Trips on Acid says, does Supra offer any OHLCV, paid or free? OHLCV, obviously open, high, low, close, and volume. I guess sort of related to our Oracle data feeds. I'm not sure if that's something you can answer real quick.
We can look into it. I mean, if we don't have it, I can talk to the Oracle team. It's not, I haven't heard that request before, if folks want that. A couple of things, though, I do want to mention about the marketing. In addition to everything that you shared, James, is so we're going to be in doing some things in the States later in a couple months. Also, Project Blastoff 2.0 is pretty cool. The focus of Project Blastoff 2.0 is of course Supra education, yeah, but we're not doing an airdrop. We're actually going to be focusing on the dApps, and there's going to be incentives for folks to. Supra's not doing Supra-based airdrops, maybe just a little bit, but not like before. But instead, we're going to focus on these dApps that are launching on Supra that are like the Super dApp Showdown winners, right? The winners of the Super dApp Showdown Season 1. We have 10 winners, and we'll kind of highlight them and bring our traffic and eyeballs to them and incentivize people trying them out. And then in order to like make it to the next mission or whatever, you have to try it out. And also you'll have to stake Supra token to even participate in Project Blastoff 2.0. But it's a good one. It's a good one. It's a nice evolution of Project Blastoff 1. If you guys enjoyed PBO, the original, you're going to like this next one as well. It's taken a little bit of a while because you can imagine there's so many things to prioritize, and the team's like, oh, we need a SuperNova interface. Oh well, like Josh really wants us to push this chat, like the AI agent chatbot interface for automation. You're like, okay, right? So PBO has been pushing forward, but yeah, I'm not going to give you a date, but as James said, perhaps May, which might be meaning like it could be the end of May, by the way, right? But just perhaps, but soon. It's so close, so that's great. In terms of other Oracle data, if you want, just reach out to our team or Discord. Let us know if you guys have a specific use case for it. We're all ears. If you want this information for automation as well, we're really interested in that as well. And I'll just tell you that we're going to be bringing a lot of different types of data on chain. We're working towards. We've been studying on those technical indicators. What's really cool about Supra is we're going to allow retail, you guys, end consumers, community to build their own indicators. Take these indicators and build their own types of indicators, form them into, we call those auto indicators, right? Automatic, indicators calculations. We're moving towards that. I'm not saying it's going to be available day one, but we're going to do like the combination of automation with Oracle. Remember, Oracle can just be not only Oracle data, but it could also be different forms of verifiable compute. So you might want to pay for certain periodic verifiable compute calculations, and then from there, once the oracles agree on that, put it on chain safely, trigger your automation to do something based off the outcome. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Blockchains are not going to be these, these blockchains are not going to be these passive ledgers. With automation, they're going to be proactive, responsive, real time, and they're going to have the feedback loops, and these things will only be possible on Supra. You had to vertically integrate it in the first place. Okay, so I think we're. What do you think, James? I think we're out of time here.
Yeah, I'd say so. Just a reminder to everyone to please check out the Citadel Vaults on Common Fund. It's all on our X profile. It's common.fund/Citadel. Also, the Solido cash register was also announced on X as well. So if you want to maximize your Supra APR, you can do so. Lock your Supra up for 4 months. You can get up to more than 20% APR, and also have access to some of the SuperDApp Showdown winners when they actually launch their own token. So early access available to those of you that lock up in the Citadel. That's it from me. Josh, anything else from your side as we wrap up?
Just kind of echoing what you said, that these are great programs. So the Citadel will give you some APR, but also perhaps up to 20-25% priority access to Common Fund. And the folks that are going to make it to Common Fund are the SuperDApp Showdown winners. So you have to win the competition. You have to be vetted by our team. You have to have a product. It has to work. You have to have a good idea. Then you might want to be presented on Common Fund, the launchpad. And anyone that and those folks that have put Supra tokens in the Citadel, you'll have first chance to check out those projects and to engage some of your Citadel value into those projects at up to 20-25% discount before it's opened up to the general community. So you get APR in it. Remember, if you don't invest in any of the or contribute to any of those Common Fund projects, right, you can just wait it out and you're still earning the 20% APR, right? So still pretty good. Yeah, so check it out. Highly recommend it. Yeah, I think we're out of time here.
Amazing. Well, that's where we're going to leave it, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. A whole bunch of you right now live. We have 3,300 people live right now. So it's been an amazing community call. Josh, thank you for your time. I know how crazy and busy you are. Crazy week for public testnet. And we'll catch you in the next community call next month. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Let's keep on going.
Bye, everyone.